For 1,000 years, bound beneath these waves, I have watched you.
The chance of the old gods, in particular N'Zoth, playing a major role in the Battle for Azeroth expansion has been growing more and more likely. So let's take a look at everything you need to know about them. The old gods are cancerous monstrosities created eons ago in order to find and corrupt worlds, specifically the Titan world soul contained within them. Azeroth's world soul is particularly powerful, although still defenceless in its unawakened state, and this made it very desirable to the old gods who discovered it eons ago. In the end, 4 old gods ruled the planet: Azshara, Cthulhu, Yogg-Saron and N'Zoth, and they slowly burrowed their way deep within its surface, growing like a cancer into colossal monstrosities. Eventually, another group of intergalactic beings discovered Azeroth, known as the Pantheon. They were horrified to discover the old gods had already claimed it, however the soul within remained untouched, so they attempted to save it. During the war, the old god Azshara was pulled from the surface and destroyed. However, this left a gaping wound in the planet through which Azeroth's world soul began to bleed out. Eventually, this location would become known as the Well of Eternity, but for now, the Pantheon knew they couldn't kill the old gods without destroying the planet in the process, so they decided their only option was to imprison them below the surface. To do this, the Pantheon began to study the old gods, and actually inadvertently created a 5th one called G'huun. However, they, along with the other remaining old gods, were all eventually sealed away. They still remained powerful entities though, and over the years would exert influence over the people and events on Azeroth, in an attempt to once again be free. In recent times, both Cthulhu and Yogg-Saron have made attempts to break out, and as a result have been defeated as part of previous events in World of Warcraft's history. G'huun, the old god created by the Pantheon, is less powerful than the others, but still potentially a world-ending threat. He's currently imprisoned on Zandalar and will serve as the final boss of the first new raid. So that leaves just one of the old gods as a major threat, N'Zoth, and recently he's been making his presence felt, and many people now suspect that he will be a major player in the future of the Battle for Azeroth expansion. N'Zoth was the first of the old gods to be sealed away by the Pantheon, locked inside a prison located around here. Following this, his next big move that we know about was at the end of the War of the Ancients, over 10,000 years ago. When the war ended, the Well of Eternity collapsed, and the ocean roared in to fill the void it left behind. Within that void was a night elf called Azshara. She was the queen of the Kaldorei Empire, and already immensely powerful. She put this strength to good use, holding back the waves. However, eventually the tides broke through, and she plunged into the depths, along with the rest of her people. At this point, N'Zoth intervened. He stopped her from drowning and began to broker a deal.
Deal? I like deals.
Who are you?
He would save her life in exchange for her becoming his servant. Azshara, however, refused to be anyone's servant, even a god's, and instead offered to be his queen and to rule at his side. N'Zoth agreed and transformed her and her people into the Naga. Hidden deep in the ocean, Queen Azshara could now begin to rebuild and forge a new empire, all the while plotting her return to the surface. About 10,000 years later, we have the events within World of Warcraft itself, and the defeat of Cthulhu and Yogg-Saron at the hands of us, the players. However, N'Zoth remained untouched, although now likely expecting the champions of Azeroth to come for him next. So he set in motion a series of plans to aid in his escape. This was the driving force behind the Cataclysm expansion. N'Zoth was the one who imbued Deathwing with his dark energy, granting him the power to ignite the Cataclysm and cause great devastation across Azeroth. N'Zoth also called upon his other allies, like the Elemental Lords, not to mention Queen Azshara and her Naga. He was almost successful in his plan to break free, however eventually the champions of Azeroth were able to turn the tide of the battle and bring an end to his campaign. In the years that followed, N'Zoth became quiet. However, with the arrival of the Battle for Azeroth expansion, he is once again making waves. In the Stormsong Valley storyline, Azshara has corrupted many of the Tide Sages to her side, and N'Zoth himself sends his Faceless Ones to corrupt the populace. Azshara also struck an accord with Zul of the Zandalari, who has been scheming to free the other remaining old god, G'huun, as well as sending her Naga into Vol'dun. We know that the first raid's end boss will be G'huun, and the second raid will be against Queen Azshara. So is this pointing towards N'Zoth as the big brain behind all of this? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you want more details on the old gods or any other element of Warcraft's lore, check out the WoW Gamepedia. As always, this is James for Curse, saying thanks for watching, and enjoy the game.